move along there. So thrilled that you're willing to spend the time learning about document management. And so kind of to open up, I wanted to ask a couple of questions that if you all can use the chat, put some answers to these questions as you have them in the chat section for now, just to kind of get us prepped before the meeting, get us thinking about what we are going to hear, and help Kurt, who I'll introduce in a moment, prepare for or be able to make sure that he hits on as many of your key areas as possible. So we've got a mixed group in this meeting, and we're excited that you are all here. So first question I wanted to ask, and again, if you can drop this in the chat, is just sort of what are you hoping to learn today out of this session? So I know kind of very broad, but if there's a couple of things you're just like, I just don't understand this, or I'm really hoping to get this out of the meeting, if you don't mind dropping that in the chat, we'll be able to see that. Second question is kind of related to that. Are there any specific issues that are really making this more important now that you personally are at your city or county are trying to resolve? So if there's anything specific like that, issues that you currently run into that are making really needing to have a better system, a better process and policy around document management and workflows related. Love to see or hear those. So again, use the chat to answer any of those questions as you're able to. All right. And then the third question that I had is anybody currently doing something for document management, or do you currently have some kind of a process or tool today? Is it file cabinets, right? Or what's the process that you're trying to or that you're leveraging currently today? So I'm not seeing any questions, so I don't know if I went too fast with everybody. But those were the opening kind of ideas that we'd love to see some questions on from anybody. Is everybody able to use the chat? That's a good question. Like, is it locked down where you aren't able to use the chat? That's everybody manually muted, Israel? Yeah. It looks like everybody's got a. What's the other box? Are they not able to? I'm drowning in paper. So you guys are hearing me? Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right. So with that being said, I want feel free to continue if you're able to get to the chat. You're able to put the chat in there. Please continue to put those answers in there, and we will leverage that as we move along through that. Thank you, Mike. And then as we get started, the Q&A, you can use that as well. So whatever you're most comfortable with, we'll be looking at both of those to make sure that we capture as much of your engagement as we possibly can. So with that, I'm thrilled to welcome Kurt Thayer from the Milner team. He will be walking us through Milner document management, and specifically as well, the integration that we have with SmartFusion that really streamlines the whole process around workflows. And how you can gain that efficiency in processing, getting away from as much paper as possible. I won't be able to do 100%, getting off of paper 100%, but we can get pretty close. And improvement is definitely an improvement and an efficiency gain. So with that, Kurt, I think if you are ready and set, I think we're ready for you. And again, everybody, please don't hesitate to ask questions as we kind of run through the presentation. So again, thanks so much for taking the time with us today.
Hey folks, can everybody hear me? Or Ben, can you hear me?
I got you, Kurt.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you. Looks good.
All right. So a little background on Milner. We've been in document management since 1980, and one of the longest continuously operating, we are the longest continuously operating document imaging company in the country. All the software we're going to show you today is developed by Milner. We're development is all up in Minnesota. We're headquartered out of Atlanta. And we support this directly. And we're in a lot of different vertical markets, utility companies, accounting, healthcare, obviously government, state, local, and municipalities. All told, we have over 2,000 placements. And we have a bunch with Harris local government now. Now we're in other different Harris business units, but we're fairly new to local government. It's been about 2 years now. And on the screen here, these are some of our current placements and then new placements. And we're adding these all the time, typically about 1 to 2 a month. So if you know any of these folks, please talk to them and we'll be happy to provide any contact information if you'd like to explore their experience with using Image Director with SmartFusion. On a technical side, we're a Microsoft server-based platform, which is identical to Harris. So technically, we use very similar technologies. We have very sophisticated security to help you with compliance. We support Active Directory. So what that means is when your team signs on in the morning and you get into your calendars and email, it'll also permit you into the imaging system and what you can do in the imaging system, what you can access and things like that. We integrate with Microsoft Office, and I'll show you that when we get into the live demonstration. I think you'll really like that. And we also integrate with DocuSign. So if your local government is trying to make it easier to do business with the public, using our technology, we can help you do that. So your constituents can easily access content, provide content, and do that in a secure way. It's a very neat technology. We have full-blown document retention management and version control, and I'm going to show you a really powerful searching capability using our full text searching features. We're going to also show you integrated workflow and compliance. So we're going to help you improve your processes. We're going to help you with your compliance because, as you all know, a lot of your content you keep, in some cases, forever, and you need to organize it, but you also have to make sure everything is meeting the compliance standards, and we can help you do that. A big deal with local government is legality. So we're going to use what we call our Milner Secure Document Library technology, which is an exclusive feature that's going to store your content in a legal archival format that will prevent tampering. It's court tested. So in the event you have to go to court and the court asks you, how was this information collected, how was it processed, and how was it organized, it will meet all those court standards. When you're capturing documents or data, everything is encrypted, both in transit and at rest. So it's going to meet all these compliance requirements. The way we look on the network, now Harris is making a big push to go into the cloud, and most of our placements now with SmartFusion is in the cloud. So if you're on-prem, we can provide a prem-based solution, but the theme now with Harris, for a lot of different reasons, is going to the cloud. And so the Image Director server, and that's the name of our product, will live in the cloud with your SmartFusion server. So the two servers are going to be communicating together, sharing information, so that we're going to eliminate or greatly reduce effort to index documents and access documents. And that's through the integration with our two companies. And so when we're in the cloud, it also is going to be backing up your content. It's going to be a much more secure environment for your data. So in the event of natural disasters like hurricanes in the Southeast, we have lots of those kind of events, or tornadoes or things like that. Now your most important documents and data are going to be protected. They're going to be backed up. And as long as you can get to the internet, you're now going to be able to get to your content. So obviously, it's just a much more secure way to operate your businesses and providing and protecting your content for your constituents and for your teams. So we have integration with all the key departments in the organization, whether it's customer service, whether it's HR, whether it's AR, if you have engineering departments or accounts payable, all these different departments are going to be integrated with SmartFusion. And we're going to help you store your most important content, whether it's important emails, whether it's paper that we're going to help you digitize, reports coming out of SmartFusion, and we can help you store video and voice. So we are content agnostic, and all this can live in the cloud with Harris, and it's all going to be backed up and secured for you and encrypted. So one of the big themes that we're going to push here in this meeting is the integration with SmartFusion. And our belief is good software should be easy and intuitive to use. And hopefully after this meeting, and I'm going to show you a live demonstration of the software, you'll see, hopefully it will pop out to you how easy it is going to be used by your teams, regardless of what department is using it in the organization. So we have integration in customer service, which, you have all your different correspondence documents with the public. You have driver's licenses, things like that. You have your accounting departments and your AR departments, and you have contracts. We're going to help you organize all that stuff. And when you need to access all this information, you're typically going to start off in SmartFusion. And again, because of integration, it will dynamically pull up that content regardless of what department you're in and what screen you're on. The integration will pull up the content that you need to help answer questions or solve customer service problems or whatnot. And that will be a pervasive theme throughout this presentation. We have integration with your board minutes and legal agreements, your utility documentation, your business licenses, your HR content. So again, whatever department you're in within your organization, and when you're on those screens within SmartFusion, you're going to dynamically be able to use what we call SmartLink, and it's going to pull up the content that you need to satisfy questions. So let's pretend that I'm a vendor and I call up your local government. I have a question about a transaction. The first thing you're typically going to do is you're going to go into SmartFusion. You're going to look up that vendor in SmartFusion. And then if the question requires you to look at a document, well, then you're going to hit the link, what we call SmartLink, and it will enable you to retrieve a document. So when I click on the link within SmartFusion, it will pull up this screen here. And you have the ability to display a document. You have the ability to import or scan. So again, all driven by SmartFusion. You click the link, and then if your request requires you to look at a document, you hit display, and that will automatically pull up a virtual hit list of the documents related to that transaction. So it could be a check, it could be a PO, it could be an invoice, it could be a receiver. So right from SmartFusion, you get this virtual result list, and then from there you can click on the document icon, and that will pull up that document, and then you can browse through to the other documents for that transaction. So when I do that, notice it'll pull up the metadata that index that document or that vendor or that transaction. And then if you need to look at the document, it will display it for you immediately. And so that theme is pervasive throughout all your key departments within SmartFusion. For example, business licenses. Let's say you get a request, you need to look at a particular business license. You can click on the link within SmartFusion, and again, that will pull up that virtual hit list of that exact request you're looking for. And when you're done with the document, or when you're done adding the document and you close, you're right back into SmartFusion as if you never left. So it's real easy, and it's secure, and it's fast, and it's accurate. Again, in this example, I'm looking for that business license. I hit the link. It pulls up the metadata that license was indexed by. There's the document in question. And again, we're right back into SmartFusion as if you never left. So the other thing that is a big deal right now in local government, and it is throughout the whole country really, is getting more efficient, using software to create processes to streamline manual efforts. And we do that through what we call workflow. And we have built workflows for the local government SmartFusion customer base for accounts payable, for if you're using paper requisition forms, we have what we call smart requisitions. So it's an electronic form that you can route around for review and approval. We have workflows for HR compliance, so you can't lose, you can't forget, and all your most important HR information is up to date and you're in compliance. And we do this throughout the entire organization. These are all optional. You don't have to do all of them, but for sure you're going to do probably at least AP and HR. The other ones can make sense for some organizations, maybe not for others, but they're available. The other thing we can offer you, if you're in paper, and most of you probably are if you're on this meeting, and you want to get digital, we offer backfile scanning services. So you can ship your content to Atlanta. We have a SOC 2 certified service bureau. We can scan your documents quickly, easily, and accurately. And then you always will have access to those documents while we're processing them. We do this very fast, though. But if you do get a request and you need that document, we'll scan it for you and immediately get it over to your imaging system. So you'll still have access to this content while we're scanning it. So now you have the ability to go completely paperless. And we have some references for you where we've done that for local governments within the Harris community. So if you're interested in that, just let us know. And with that, I'm going to jump into some live software. So let me switch screens here. And again, that concept, let's pretend I'm a taxpayer, or I'm one of your constituents. I call up, I have a question, or maybe I come into your office, and I have a question about something. Invariably, the first thing your customer service folks are going to do is they're going to say, what's your name and where you live, something to that effect. And then from there, if you want to look up all the documents related to that particular individual, you look them up in SmartFusion, you hit the doc link, and that will pull up a virtual hit list. And so when we do that, we get our virtual hit list. So Jamie Turner is in front of us, and she has a question. And so you've looked them up and you notice, oh, Miss Jamie, we noticed you don't have a driver's license on file. Do you mind if I make a copy of your driver's license? So again, from SmartFusion, I hit the link, it pulls up a virtual hit list, and then I'm going to add a driver's license. So all I do is just click anywhere on the results row, and I'm going to scan or import. I don't have a scanner attached, but what the local government customers do is they'll get these little inexpensive scanners. They're about $300. They attach them to the workstation, or you can just walk down the hall or next to your desk. If you have a multifunction printer, you can put the driver's license on that device and then scan it. So I don't have a scanner attached, so I'm going to import. So let's pretend I walked over to the MFP, scanned the driver's license, And what's going to happen because of the integration with SmartFusion, we're going to pull over all the information on Miss Jamie Turner. And then down here, we're going to build what we call high frequency document type buttons. So we'll have driver's license, customer, applications, correspondence. You can have as many as you want, and we'll build these for you for whatever your naming convention is. And then at this point, I'm going to go ahead and browse to the folder. If I had a scanner, this document would come over immediately, but I don't have, I have an MFP, so I'm going to browse to a folder, grab that driver's license, point click, no data entry. So the driver's license is on the screen here. I'm going to name it a driver's license. I did 0 data entry, and I've indexed this document into the virtual folder for Miss Jamie Turner. So let's pretend next month Miss Jamie Turner comes in again, and we want to look them up. Again, we would go into SmartFusion and then look up that account, and now there's a driver's license. So the emphasis here is from SmartFusion, you looked up Miss Jamie Turner, you added a driver's license, you did 0 data entry, you have now consistent naming conventions, and when you're done with this, you're right back into SmartFusion as if you never left. Now, if you wanted to look at all the documents related to Jamie while you have her in front of you, you can also just browse through virtually, and it will pull up any supporting documents that are related to that particular constituent while they're right in front of you. So it's super easy. So let me show you some of the neat features of Image Director and the integration with SmartFusion. So let's pretend that you wanted in accounts payable, you wanted to look up an invoice. So that same concept, let me clear this out. Let's pretend that I'm in SmartFusion and I wanted to look up a particular transaction. So let's just pretend I click the link, the smart link within the AP inquiry screen, the vendor's on the phone, same concept, it's going to pull up a virtual hit list. So the vendor's on the phone with us, and we've got an invoice for this particular transaction. We've got a receiver, we got a check, and we have a PO. So now to satisfy that question, I have the ability to say, let's say I want to look at that invoice. I just click on it. There's the invoice. This is the information related to this particular invoice. This has been approved at a certain time, a certain date. And if I want to browse through this transaction, I can just click through it. So this would be the packing slip. Then I want to look at the PO. There's the PO, or rather the check. And then here's the PO. And again, when I'm done, I'm right back into SmartFusion as if I never left. Now, the way we get these documents into the system, I'm going to show you in a second. But one of the powerful things about the solution with SmartFusion and Image Director is the integration. And so we are doing a one-to-one lookup with SmartFusion. So, you know, the vendor called up, they got a question about a specific transaction. But let's say you're in an audit and you need to pull up specific detail. Because we are through integration, we're merging the check, we're merging the PO automatically, and then we're syncing the content related to the check and the PO. We're able to do sophisticated searching. So if you're in an audit and you want to say, I need to pull up for Dell computers, so you could put in a vendor number, or you could put in a vendor name. You could put in an invoice date range. So I want to look up all the invoices for Dell computers for this year, so I could put in the beginning of the year and I could put in today's date. So I'm going from January 1st to September 2025 on the 23rd, and I'm looking for Dell computer invoices between $5,000 and $10,000 you could put in an invoice amount, date range, dollar amount. So you have the ability to mine your SmartFusion AP database, and we will sync up the content related to that. So now you literally have the ability to find a needle in a haystack and to get specific range searches against your SmartFusion database. And the beauty of this, and I'm going to show you how we did this, and there's no data entry. But we can even do much more than that. Let's say that you get a scenario where the IT director calls up and he's got a problem with his Cisco router, and he needs you to, or he can do it himself, obviously, because he could have a user license and he could retrieve it. But let's just pretend he called up AP and he says, I need to find a part number on a Cisco router. You can go over in advanced search, you're in the AP database, and I'm going to look up for that particular part number that he needs to reorder because it failed. So he's keying in a part number over here, and he's going to only look in the accounts payable database. And I want to emphasize this is all password protected. When you signed on in the morning, it vetted you into what applications you have permission to be in. Right now, I'm looking in accounts payable. I'm going to look for this part number, and sure enough, we have one document in our AP file cabinet that has a particular document that has that part number. And when I look at that, it's going to highlight within all the documents within the AP application, and it's going to find that part number. It's hard to see this. Let me zoom it up a little bit bigger. And you'll see that it's kind of grayed out there, but there it is, 241592. It's telling you the invoice that it found it in. It's telling you the information related to that invoice. And so within a second, we were able to find a needle in a haystack for looking in the AP application. We found that specific piece of information that could have been within millions of pages, and it found it within a second. So you literally can mine your AP application and find specific information within seconds. You're able to do sophisticated range searching by mining your SmartFusion database because of the integration with Image Director and SmartFusion, and you're able to do sophisticated searching. For my example of if I want to find specific information for a particular vendor, for a particular date range, for a particular dollar amount, you can find just those transactions that meet that right criteria, or you can find that needle in a haystack with respect to finding information within the machine printed words of all the content in your AP application. So it's really, really powerful. But let's go back to a scenario where we've got a vendor on the phone. We need to look up a transaction. So again, from the smart link within SmartFusion, I'm going to pull up a virtual hit list. The vendor's on the phone. This is telling us that this transaction occurred in a workflow. So the vendor's on the phone. I got to answer a question. SmartFusion delivered me a hit list, and there's this transaction, and I can browse through the transaction and look at all the supporting documents while the vendor's on the phone. I have the ability to print. I have the ability to email any of these documents to that particular vendor within seconds. And I can also do that full text searching. So it really empowers you to deliver quality answers to questions and to find content quickly and easily. You have the ability to do cool things like save queries, create reports from this, and it's very, very easy to use. Now you'll notice when I switch applications, like I jump from accounts payable from customer records, if I want to go back to customer records, Again, you'll notice that the way information is indexed is different. So you're able to do different types of searching because the way the content was indexed is different from department to department. So if I go over to HR, if I look in the HR virtual file cabinet, now if I want to look, and again, this is password protected, so maybe only HR can see the HR information. So if I want to look up a particular employee, I can key in their employee number, and that will pull up a virtual hit list of that particular employee. And if I want to look at the documents, they're right here quickly and easily. If I want to look for all the I-9s for this year, I could do a range search. I could put in a date range, and I only want to look for I-9s. It will pull up a result list of all the I-9s for all the employees for this year. So you can mine your SmartFusion database. Image Director will sync the content against that and also enable full text searching. But here's another really cool feature. Let's say that the board has a legal matter that came up and they need to find anything that we have on Missouri. And we're not sure how we filed the document. We're not sure what file cabinet it lives in. It could be anywhere, but we need to find everything on a particular subject matter. And let's say it's Missouri. So instead of just looking in the HR records for something, I'm going to go in the upper right-hand corner here, and I'm going to look for something with Missouri in it. So when I key in Missouri, and I have permission to see all these different file cabinets, and I have permission to see all the documents in these different file cabinets, and I'm going to look for Missouri. And what it's going to show us in board minutes, we actually have a document that has, and again, we looked across everything. And sure enough, in board minutes, we do have something with Missouri in it. And I like to show this document because it was created on an old IBM typewriter going back to 1947, and it found Missouri in it. So it will find a needle in a haystack, even if the document is old as 1947. As long as it's machine printed, we're going to run it through our AI capture process to enable full text searching. So it's super powerful for you guys. So at a high level, that's searching. And again, almost invariably, you're always going to do your lookups from your departmental SmartFusion screen. So let's jump over to workflow. And I gave you my example of accounts payable. We also do this for HR. And in today's meeting, just for time consideration, I'm going to focus on accounts payable and HR. So let's jump over to that. So when I click on this link here, or I can go over to this button here. So I'm just toggling from Find Documents to Workflow. So let's go back over to Workflow. Click on that, and let's focus on AP. So let's pretend I'm in the accounting department, and again, Find Documents is over here. We're going to jump into Workflow. So how do we get those documents that I showed you in Find Documents into the system? Well, we use AI to do it. So what you all will do is you'll send out a letter to all your vendors. Hey, if you want to do business with our local government, we're encouraging you to start emailing your invoices into ourlocalgovernment.com, whatever the name of your organization is. And you're probably already getting a bunch of your vendors doing that. But now, instead of printing off the emails, so going from digital to paper, let's keep it all digital and let's work smart. So what's going to happen is Image Director Capture is going to be monitoring your local government's email box. When an invoice drops into the email box, Image Director Capture through AI is going to know where to find the invoice number. It's going to know where to find the invoice date. It's going to know where to find the PO number if there's a PO number. It's going to know where to find the totals and so forth. So we're doing intelligent zonal capture layered with full text OCR. So a year from now, if you're in an audit and you need to find part number PP-1234 in Find Documents, you can do that search and it will pull up any page of any document that has that part number in it, assuming you have permission to see it. And then we can even do real cool things like we can create, based on your local government's rules, you may say electronic business systems always goes to Susie, but if it's greater than $10,000, it has to go to the CFO. So the software can create multi-routing rules that make sense for your local government and for the rules of your local government for the way you want to approve your invoices. So that now it's going to go through capture automatically, then go into workflow. So let's move back over to workflow, and I'm going to send it into invoices without a POQ. Now, again, this could have gone directly to the IT manager if that was the rule for your local government. But in this case, I wanted to show you simple collaboration, and I routed it to the invoice without a POQ. So the AP clerk signs on, he or she can see everything going on. If I'm the IT manager and I only approve invoices, I may only see my queue. So this looks like a busy screen, but it doesn't need to be. Again, when the IT manager signs on, he may only see his queue and he may only be in the workflow queue. So I'm going to act as a traffic cop. And by the way, I had a dental appointment. I'm the AP clerk. I had a dental appointment. I went to that appointment. Instead of coming back in the office, I went home. And now I can work from home because I signed on to the SmartFusion imaging system. And then I went into workflow. I have an invoice to review that came in through capture. I opened up the invoice. Again, I'm working from home. I'm looking at the invoice. That all looks correct. If there was any supporting documents, they could be joined automatically. Here's what was captured in the capture process. And then if you want to do coding, you can do coding right here, or you can do it at the departmental level. It's your prerogative. And at this point, everything looks good. I'm going to route it over to the IT manager. And if you recall, the IT manager had 0 in his queue. So he gets a notification via email. And let's pretend that he's at a conference in Birmingham, Alabama. So he signs on to his email. He clicks on the link in his email, and that will open him up into this transaction. So he's out of the office too. So he's looking at the invoice. This all looks correct. He can look at the metadata that was captured in the capture process. Let's say he needs to add a receiver. So point, click, no data entry. He can take a photo on his phone. He can add a packing slip if he has the packing slip. So just like that, we joined a document. We index the document, no data entry. We have consistent naming conventions. By the way, if there was a PO, because of the integration with Harris SmartFusion, we're automatically going to join the PO. And so now we have an invoice, we have a receiver, and at this point, the IT manager is ready to approve it. So and he also can add notes. If he wants to add a note, he can do that. But let's go ahead and approve this invoice. So he can build his own signature. He has the ability to redact. He can highlight. He can approve, not approve. So, but let's go ahead and approve this. So today at 3:41 Eastern Standard Time, this particular transaction was approved by this manager, and then it was pushed along its merry way based on the routing rules for your local government. So the rule could have been, it could have gone to the CFO because the dollar amount met a threshold that required the CFO to review and approve it. But in this case, we just sent it to the approve queue. And again, not everybody's going to see all these queues. Not everybody's going to be in AP workflow. So it's all permission based. So when I go to the approve queue, again, I'm at home, and I go to the approve queue, and there's that invoice that was just approved by that particular manager. So I'm looking at it. There it is at 341. The IT director approved this particular invoice. I can look at all the supporting documents. That all looks good. And if this is ready to go, I can just hit the complete button here, and we're going to release the keystrokes that we collected in Capture automatically into SmartFusion. The PO and all the supporting documents are also going to be synced against that process. And then when you do your check run, the original check is going to go to the printer that you're going to mail to the vendor. An electronic copy of the check is going to go to the imaging system automatically, and it's going to match the check against the invoice or invoices that check is paying on. And that's how in Find Documents, when you're in the AP application and you want to say, I want to look for all the transactions for a particular vendor, for a particular date range, for a particular dollar amount, you can do this sophisticated searching layered with full text searching. And you did 08 data entry to get it into the imaging system. That's how it all gets matched up from that integration of the check detail from the check file and the PO from the PO. And that integration syncs all the content against the SmartFusion database. Now, in my scenario where the IT director approved an invoice, let's pretend that he did not do something right. You can route it back to him with a note. You can say, hey, John, you put the wrong receiver on. So you could route it back. So you have the ability to collaborate. You can move the invoice around, just like in the real world. If you have to add a supporting document after the fact, or if you have to make a note, hey, you attached the wrong document. Can you fix it? You can do the same thing in the imaging system, but you can't lose it. You can't forget, and you have a complete audit trail. And that's how over in Find Documents, when we looked up the transaction and we wanted to, let me clear this out. Apologize. So let's look up that transaction. It's telling us that this transaction was completed in the AP workflow, and it's telling us the history of the transaction. So even when you're doing a retrieval in Find Documents, again, you started in SmartFusion, did the lookup for that transaction, you get a results list. If you wanted to look at the history of when the invoice came in, who approved it, when they approved it, that's all part of the audit trail. So it really empowers you to get to all your content quickly, easily, accurately. And in some of our workflows like AP, there's no more data entry. It's really, really powerful. So the last workflow I want to show you, and I know I'm going very fast. We do a much more detailed meeting when we do a one-on-one with your local government. But let's just also touch on HR while we have you on the call.
Hey,
so let's go back.
Like, Mike had a question. He asked, where do we get the workflow for capturing documents from email? Looks like they have a dedicated purchasing email.
Israel, can you say that again?
Yeah, Mike had asked, where do we get the workflow for capturing documents from email? We have a dedicated purchasing email.
I'm not sure how to answer that question. So what happens is you're gonna create, your local government's gonna create an email box, and you're gonna ask all your vendors, and not every vendor is gonna do it, like your local lawn care guy, he'll just give you a piece of paper invoice. That's fine. It all goes into workflow though. And so Image Director Capture is going to be monitoring that email box. So it's always looking in the email box. When an invoice drops in, the software is going to know how to process that vendor's unique invoice. It's going to know where to find the invoice number, the invoice date, the all the detail. Plus, it's going to full text OCR it. And then when it moves it in, it's going to go into workflow for the AP process. So it's going to go into the different queues. You know, it could automatically go to the IT manager. Um, and then it's going to be configured for your local government. I'm hoping I'm answering the question. Um, Kelly, can you jump in here? Am I answering that question correctly?
Looks like Kelly did say that she'll keep in touch with Mike after this. So
Okay.
looks like, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard in this kind of meeting, but I want to emphasize that I'm going very quickly here, and I'm hoping you're getting the big picture on how intuitive it is to use, how easy searching is, and how powerful it is. So I'm going to jump back into HR. So I showed you in Find Documents, there's going to be an application for HR. And again, this will typically be password protected, so only the HR team and maybe management can see the HR records. But in the HR workflow, we're going to help you with compliance. And we have a full-blown onboarding process, but at a high level, the way this will work is, let's pretend that your local government has 11 employees. And I know some of your local governments have hundreds of employees, but let's just pretend that we only have 11 employees for this fictitious local government. So if Beverly Wheaton calls up and she has a question or comes in the office, you can just look up her virtual folder, and there's different ways to look at the content. So if I looked up Beverly here in Find Documents, I can do it like that, and it will pull up Beverly's virtual hit list. But you can also look at the same content, and it's kind of presented differently. And HR typically will work out of this dashboard. So here's all Beverly's compliance documents. So if I wanted to see everything for Beverly, it will color code it. And typically in HR, and I know not everybody in the audience is in HR, so I'm going fast, we will color code it by the tabs that you have for your employee record. So it's going to be very similar to the way it works in your paper file cabinets. And now if you want to look or add a document, it's point click, no data entry. But the really cool thing about our HR compliance is it's going to proactively monitor all the documents in all your employee records. So when driver's licenses are expiring, for your CDL licenses, for your commercial drivers, for your local governments, you're probably using a calendar to remind yourself, hey, we need to update these CDL licenses. Well, with Image Director HR Compliance, it's going to proactively alert you through a dashboard, hey, the following documents are coming due for expiration. If for whatever any documents expire or missing, it will go into a queue, so you can't lose, you can't forget, and you know, hey, for the following records, for the following employees, we are out of compliance. So now you have a disaster recovery copy, part of the Harris SmartFusion backup process. You have full text searching capability. You have compliance, that you know you're up to date on any documents that are required or have expiration dates. And we have a complete onboarding process for you to get your content into the system using what we call smart forms. And let me just touch on this. And again, I'm going very fast, and I recognize that, and we'll do a much deeper dive when we get, if you want to have a personal meeting. But now instead of filling out a bunch of paper forms, we have smart forms. So instead of giving a new employee a deck of forms, in paper, give them a smart device like a Microsoft Office Surface or an iPad, and then they can fill out the forms. You can pre-populate their name, their address, all that, so they don't have to redundantly fill out the same information. This then will go into a workflow, and then HR will review it. You can onboard the new employee. So now you're completely paperless. And then going forward, it will proactively alert you when documents are missing or expiring. And again, we do a much deeper dive into a live presentation for the HR department. So I'm really showing a lot here. Ben, I think at this point, I'd like to turn this over to questions and
Yeah. Great. Yeah, I think we do have mics muted. So if you have questions, we can put them into the chat, or Israel, at this point, we could kind of open up if people want to raise hands and ask some questions. But hopefully this is answering some of the questions that we asked at the beginning of the meeting. So.
Yeah, we went very fast for you folks, and we had, just to touch on this, we have workflows for expense reporting. So instead of using paper expense reports, we have a smart expense report. We have workflows for executive contract management. We have full-blown office integration. So for instance, if, let me minimize this. Instead of filling out a, oops, wrong thing here. So when you're filling out Microsoft Word documents, we have integration with Microsoft Office. So now you can collaborate, you can store renewals and things like that. Instead of using Microsoft folders, you're going to put it into the Harris cloud, and you guys can collaborate. You're going to have everything backed up. You're going to have full text searching capabilities, and you're going to have that integration with PowerPoint, with Office, and all these documents that you're putting in your just your simple folders. Now you're going to put them into your enterprise imaging system, all backed up by Harris, and you're going to be able to create workflows. So even content that has nothing to do with SmartFusion, we have really neat tools to help you get better organized and get better and more efficient.
Fantastic.
And again, if you'll notice up here, there's Image Director within Office.
Right. So we have opened up people's mics. If you'd like to unmute yourself and ask a question, we can go into that. So feel free, raise a hand if you'd like, whatever the different tools, or unmute yourself and be brave and ask a question. That's what this time is for. So Elizabeth will definitely follow up with you to give you more detail, and love that you saw what you were looking for. Somebody else. Mike, did you have a clarifying question from Elmo?
Ben, I want to recognize that we went very fast, and it's kind of hard to keep up with all this when we're going this fast, but we can do much deeper dives into the different departmental workflows in particular.
Absolutely.
But invariably, everything is driven by SmartFusion. So when you're on your AP inquiry screen in SmartFusion, you need to look at a transaction. You hit the link, it pulls up a virtual hit list. If you're in customer records, you have a question, customers on the phone or whatever, you hit in SmartFusion, you hit the link, it will pull up all the documents related to that particular customer. That's the pervasive theme throughout the integration with SmartFusion and Image Director. And then we're going to layer it with process improvement, audit trails, and full text searching so that it's almost impossible to lose a document. You're going to have that disaster recovery copy of all your most important documents all backed up in the Harris Cloud. So it's just a better way of doing business,
Yep.
and it's a more secure process for your local government to manage your most important content.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Mike. We'll definitely follow up with your question. Yeah, I think one of the other things that I'll kind of stall. Feel free to ask any additional questions anybody else has. But one of the other things that is powerful about this is there's all the tools that Kurt talked about that are integrated with SmartFusion that are going to make your life easier. They're going to add a lot of efficiency just for you as SmartFusion users. But don't forget that this is a platform that's an enterprise platform. So not just your SmartFusion team can take advantage of the document management. So teams that aren't using SmartFusion but are in other departments can leverage the Milner solution for document management across the city or the county, even if they're not SmartFusion users. So, you can go to other departments and help and get help funding, the tool, right, or buy into the application because they are going to have the ability to use Image Director, store their own documents, even if they aren't necessarily specifically concerned about the integration with SmartFusion. So hopefully I said that correctly and clearly, Kurt. But again, don't just think oh, this is just for SmartFusion, because it works really well. There's a lot of customization, but this is potentially for the whole organization.
Yeah, there's somebody here, Ben, by the name of Elizabeth Richardson, that had a question about business licenses. And that's a really good one. So again, business licenses, typically SmartFusion doesn't have an application for that, but we could help you create an application. An application is like a file cabinet, and we'll set that up for you. And now you're going to get that disaster recovery copy backed up in the Harris Cloud. You're going to have the full text searching capability. You're going to have document level security. And it's just a better way to organize those most important documents. And again, just keep everything protected and secure and backed up.
Yeah, we do have the business license solution or module. So, but I think the integration or the workflow may not be customized yet, right? So that would be absolutely something that could be leveraged. So. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing we have I showed you how when you're creating, documents using Microsoft Office. So if you're creating content in Word, and instead of using Microsoft folders to store documents with their very minimal naming conventions, we're integrated with Office and again PowerPoint. So from the toolbar within Microsoft, you have the ability to now organize any content you're making for the public. And if you want to store documents from Office now or PowerPoint or whatever, you have a Image Director capture will enable you to do that with much more sophisticated naming conventions and indexing parameters, layered with full text searching. And now all this content that may have nothing to do with SmartFusion, you could back it up in the SmartFusion cloud and protect this vital information layered with full text searching. So, our theme here has been really centered around SmartFusion, but all your other documents that you need to organize that have nothing to do with SmartFusion, you still will use this system and leverage your infrastructure in the SmartFusion cloud to organize and store that content and get it all backed up.
Great. All right, awesome. Going back to some of the initial questions we asked, anybody have anything that we did not cover, not address, that they were hoping to learn from this meeting. As Kurt said, we went really fast, so I'm sure there are some details that we'd love to follow back up with you on or answer.
Oh, here's a question.
Yeah.
Elizabeth is asking, will the system allow me to send business license renewal via email? The answer to that is absolutely yes. Again, we integrate with Microsoft Office. So I'm not sure how you're creating the business license, but that doesn't necessarily matter if you're using Office to do that. But we can actually help you with the workflow there to monitor that process and create proactive alerts so you can't lose and you can't forget. That is the real power of the workflow with SmartFusion, is creating audit trails. So you literally will know when an invoice came in, who approved it, when they approved it. That's all part of the audit trails. So it really is going to empower your team to just get better visibility to the history of all your different documentation related to your different departmental use cases. So it's really a neat tool to just help you be compliant, be proactive, and give you these important audit trails that you can verify you did what you did when you said you did it. It's all part of the audit trail.
Yeah. Fantastic. Great. Okay. Anything else anybody has? Any other questions?
Oh, somebody, there was a question here, Ben. Mike asked, is where do we get workflow for capturing documents from email? We have a dedicated purchasing email at elmorecounty.org. So that same concept, Mike, is the same thing with AP. So you've set up that email box for purchasing. You would set up an identical email box for AP. Image Director Capture will be monitoring the different email boxes. So we can monitor the purchasing email box, and when that comes in, that will go into quota workflow. And if an invoice comes in, that will go into maybe the AP approval process. So we can monitor different email boxes using Image Director Capture. Good question. Oh, and there was a question here from Elizabeth about business license renewal.
Yeah, we
Yes,
have those
and
flagged for
Yeah,
follow-up, Kurt.
what's that?
We've covered those. We have that flagged for follow-up.
Okay, all right.
Okay. I don't know if I'll give everybody, if you've got some more questions, if as I like to say, if you hang up and then you think of a question that you wanted to ask, or you forgot to ask, or weren't thinking about, you know where to find us. Jessica Blackwell will be the best contact. She should have been on the invite for this meeting. She will also follow up with everybody just to make sure that we do capture that you were here, and that if you do have any questions, happy to follow up, answer anything, go over a personalized demo, look at the solutions that you currently have, and any that maybe you do need. As an example, if you don't have the business license module, maybe that's something you want to consider adding to your SmartFusion current solutions. So anyway, with that, I think we are basically done, right, Kurt? I think we've, we'll be ready. We'll be stand by, happy to answer any questions that anybody has. I think we can stay on the line for a little bit. If there is somebody that wants to hang around and doesn't want to ask in front of the group or whatever, we'll stay on a few minutes after. But outside of that, really appreciate everybody's time joining today, taking the couple of minutes, half an hour or so here to learn about document management. Hopefully it's been helpful, but hopefully it's not the end of the conversation. So stay in touch. We'll be in touch. And again, hope everybody has a fantastic day. Thanks again, Kurt,
Yes.
for leading us today. So
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize to the audience here, This is a very generic meeting we did for you. When we do a personal meeting for your local government, we will go into better detail, and it will be more personal for the way your processes worked. And I think Ben emphasized that everybody does business a little bit differently. Your AP process is going to be different than another local government's process, and the software is completely configurable. And we understand that you need to have it configured for the way you want it to work, for the way your team works, and the software is designed to do that. So and we have a bunch of references for you. We've been doing this a long time. I'm confident we can make you happy and help you work smarter and not harder.
Awesome. Perfect.
Well, thank you for your time, folks.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.